It's the Pete Sousa Show. Sports, Pete.
Nobody tells our stories better than our clients.
The difference is stark. I was rear-ended at a stop. I thought I was fine, and then once I got home, I realized it's a lot worse than I thought. I ended up having a ruptured disc. You say you're not hurting, and then an hour later, you're saying you're in all this pain. I just felt like most people would think that I was lying. And that's when I decided to call Daniel Stark. I owe a lot to Daniel Stark. They really got me what I deserved.
The difference is stark.
We definitely love our relationship and love Extraco. It's been an amazing experience.
They made the PPP process easier. They were reaching out to me saying, what can I do to help you? That made a huge difference because my stress level, when we shut down, to afterwards was night and day.
Our experience with Extraco has been phenomenal since the very beginning, so we love Extraco.
Tervis is all about staying hydrated with style and durability. You can trust Tervis tumblers to keep your drinks the perfect temperature, hot or cold, for hours. From the classic insulated tumblers to sleek stainless steel water bottles, each product is built to last and comes in endless designs to match your personality. Stay refreshed and express yourself with Tervis. Visit tervis.com today and find your perfect tumbler.
Since our founding, we've been revolutionizing hair removal with cutting-edge technology and a commitment to empowerment. The U-Like Air 3, launched in 2023, ushers in a new era of sapphire ice cooling technology, offering nearly painless hair reduction in just 3 weeks. Experience the future of hair removal today at ulike.com, because at U-Like, beauty is about looking and feeling good. That's ulike.com. U-Like. With Ease US, make studio-quality voiceovers for your videos online in over 149 languages and dialects, featuring 468 natural AI voices. Customize the volume, mood, and pauses to perfectly match your content. Plus, capture high-quality videos with no watermark. Record your screen, webcam, and voice, and save them instantly to your computer. Never been easier to create professional-grade videos and voiceovers. Try it today at easeus.com. That's EASEUS.com. Ease US.
Just use AMP-Pace.
AMP-Pace.
It is the Pete Sousa Show. It is a little sports, a little bit of everything for you today. We're in the Alico building, baby. Live coming to you from Central Texas. Pete Sousa, Scotty Swingler on the turntables. A big show for you today. Of course, we are presented by Slovacics. You got this is it, man. This is the time of year where Slovacics, it really is like you could just feel it percolates, man. I mean, people are on vacation. People are now starting to travel. To get back to school, right? Like maybe you're taking your son, daughter back to school coming up in the next few weeks. You're on that I-35 corridor and you're driving through West Texas. You're going to stop at Slovacics. Say hi to Ray. Tell him we sent you. Won't get you anything other than a bigger smile than you probably already have. And don't forget the kolaches, okay? Also, the Pete Sousa Show, Socorro Family Ford, Daniel Stark Injury Lawyers, Extraco Banks, and of course, First National Bank of Central Texas, Crawford Austin Properties, all making it happen, allowing us to be here today, coming to you live from the Alico building. Nowhere else to start but the Dallas Cowboys. Well, I guess we can start by telling you what we have in store for today. Second block, James Francis, first team All-American Baylor Bear, also first-round draft pick, 12th pick overall by the Bengals in 1990. He played 9 years with the Bengals, one with the Redskins. We're going to talk to him about his excitement about this season and Baylor football. And we're also, I don't know if he's watching. Scotty, you think James is watching? We got a little surprise for him. And it's another birthday surprise. It's James's birthday. I buried the lead. That's why we're having him on. But we also want to talk Auburn, Baylor season opener with him. And we've got somebody who we're going to welcome who may have been a Bengal, who may have played at Auburn, who may surprise James. I'm giving too much away, but James is not watching, dude. All right? If he is, well, we love him. And his story is amazing, by the way. I was doing some research, and I checked on I was way familiar with James Francis when he played for the Bengals, not necessarily when he was playing for Baylor. His story is amazing. He played basketball at Baylor. Actually was on the team in '88 when they went to the NCAA tournament, played his freshman and sophomore year. And that was one of the ways that a guy like James really stayed in shape. And he talks about it did wonders for his footwork. He led the Bengals in tackles as a rookie. And so did another gentleman who we might welcome today. Okay. What do you got? What do you got, Scotty?
Here's all you need to know about James Francis playing basketball at Baylor.
Yeah.
My dad was on campus and has told me this. He was 6'4" and was a good power forward.
In the Southwest Conference when it was
That's all you need to know. He was 6'4", and he was playing power forward, and his primary responsibility when he was on the court was to get rebounds.
I imagine he did a pretty good job.
Do you know what NCAA record? I can't verify this anywhere, by the way. I want to give this to our viewers. If you can verify this, I believe he has the NCAA record for blocked kicks.
He does. Well, eight block kicks.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's
and I don't think anybody's had more than that.
No, it's he was part of his first team All-American run. Yeah,
awesome.
That's amazing.
It's awesome.
How the hell do you I think the only other player that comes to mind off the top of my head is one of the great Raiders, Ted Hendricks. Used to block kicks all the time. Blocked a kick against the Eagles in the Super Bowl when they were wearing helmets just like these. All right, let's get to the Cowboys. Bad news first. And it's really bad. It's really ugly. Right after we got off the air on Friday, maybe an hour or two after, I was actually going for a nice jog in Hot Flower Mound, kind of decompressing, getting ready for the weekend, and my rusty, trusty buddy here, Scotty Swingler, sent me a text, and it just said, "God damn," or something like that. And it was the Micah Parsons update that he wanted to be traded. That's I don't want to call that old news, but you get it. It's over the weekend, more news has come out, but we know that Micah Parsons made the announcement that he wanted to be traded. We know that Jerry Jones was asked yesterday about that, or Saturday, and he basically said that this is all part of negotiation, which I thought was kind of lame because even if it is all part of negotiation, like you're still kind of kicking Micah in the nuts by saying that. Like, we're not taking you seriously. And my big issue with this, I always kind of have come down on ownership side in a way, like, and the reason I say that is because I've always been the kind of guy, like, I was a complete outlaw for a huge time in my life. Like, I got sober 13 years ago. I talk about it. I was always in trouble, always having issues with police and people of authority. But then when I stopped drinking and I started to behave myself, I didn't have those issues anymore. Now, judging by my complexion and, I grew up in the suburbs, like, I probably don't get some of the treatment that other folks get, but still, I don't get in trouble anymore. And I've always, like, I had a real shift in my mind towards, like, management and people that were in charge once I started to behave like, hey, man, if you do the next right thing and you kind of keep your act in line and you're acting to contribute to the greater good of society, like, things work out for you, right? And so that in basically for me led to me following rules and things working out, right? I always see, when I see guys like holding out and stuff like that, you know, there's a player inside in me where I'm like, okay, well, you want the player to get theirs. At the same time, it's like, all right, I can side with management a lot of the time. Like, let's just get into camp. I hate to say fall in line, right? Be a part of the team, kick ass, and you'll get what's coming to you. You'll get your worth. And the Micah Parsons situation is a complete outlier in so many ways. One, as he put it too in that announcement, which, by the way, was not refuted by Jerry Jones, right? That he went to meet with the team in March about leadership, okay? And Jerry Jones completely shanghaied him. A meeting that was based around leadership turned into contract negotiations. At which point, Micah walked out of the room and Jerry thought he had a deal, right? No agent was involved. One of the most powerful agents in the NFL. We're not talking about me representing somebody or just an agent that's not certified, certifying or representing a guy like we see so often now in college football in the NIL. This is a legit, like, marquee agent. And Jerry Jones didn't want to involve him at all in the negotiations, which basically, by the way, the more and more you read about, and if you dive into the record books, right? What's the 3 for? 3 minutes? All right, we got 3 minutes till break. I want to make sure. You've never given me a 3 sign. You've never given me a time sign yet, okay? I figured it out. Okay, so let's play. So you cannot do that. You can't just, like, strong arm guys into contracts. I want to give you a video. This was a Tony Romo, A Football Life from the NFL Network. But this goes back 20 years, right? This is how the Cowboys do business. Take a look.
The game, you go out and you warm up for an hour, and I come in, and all of a sudden, one of the coaches says, hey, Coach Parcells wants to see you in the coach's office. And so I'm like, okay, that's different.
Bill and I got him in a little old room, like a closet almost.
And Jerry's like, Tony, come on, sit down right here. And Bill's sitting there with a little bit of a scowl on his face. Put this chair in. Right when I'm about to sit down, they kind of pull the chair in. So now it's like all three of our knees are touching right next to each other.
And I had both my feet kind of on his toes, and Bill was sitting there almost a half an inch from his ear.
It's about the most intimidated I've ever been in any sort of a setting in your life.
So we were squeezing him a little bit to sign the deal.
Bill says, you know, I can't play today. I can't play today. I mean, we're not gonna showcase you for the rest of the league. You out there, you play well, and you know, you're a free agent this year, and you're gonna go play somewhere else. I'm not gonna let you play today unless you're gonna sign this contract that we offered you.
He was so composed. He was so good. And he looked me in the eye and he said, I'm gonna get to play when you've got an investment in me. The one you've proposed doesn't really make the kind of investment in me that I think will get on the field. I need to get on the field.
And so Jerry looks over at Bill, and they look at each other, and they're like, okay, I think we're gonna do the contract that you want. And I was like, okay.
I shook his hand and said, that's done. He walked out of that door, and Bill jumps up and grabs me and said, we've got us a quarterback. Said, man, did you see that composure under this kind of pressure?
Okay. So we now have, like, on the record, and we already knew about this, but, like, that's how the Cowboys do business, right? I mean, that situation, it's like John Gotti and Sammy the Bull Gravano sitting down with a small business owner, right, in Queens, New York City, saying, hey, give us our cut, right, or we're going to kick your ass. Like, that is not how you negotiate at a level like the NFL. And also good for Tony Romo that he was able to show some moxie, right, and hold his own in that meeting and negotiate. But that's not what he does. He's a quarterback. So Micah Parsons is a fish out of water in a room with Jerry Jones negotiating a contract worth hundreds of millions of dollars. That's not what Micah Parsons does. If Jerry Jones wants to try playing defensive end for the Dallas Cowboys, go for it. Good luck. That's not what you do. Like, let's stay in our lanes here, right? And let's bring an agent into the fold so we can get a fair negotiation for the player, right? And then the team and the player and the agent come together. They make an agreement. By rule of CBA, when a negotiation like that happens verbally, the moment that's over with, that negotiation or that conversation, when it turns to a contract, has to be documented. Do you think that was documented? I haven't seen any. I haven't heard about it. I think we would have. Last thing I'll say about this before we get to break, because we got big guest James Francis coming up. I was, again, like, I always kind of lean towards management a little bit. But I heard so many players over the weekend, right? I talked to guys too, who think this is such bullshit, right? And the number one thing is, if you're a fan of the Dallas Cowboys, right? If you're a player on the Dallas Cowboys, if you want the Dallas Cowboys to win, whether you're on Mars or in Memphis or somewhere here in Central Texas, right? Midway, we'll say. Stay with the M's. This is not good for winning. Marcus Spears said it. I heard Chris Sims say it, two guys jumping out. Marcus Spears was like, the dissension from management to a player, when it gets to this level and you're dealing with it all preseason long, it chips away at the main goal, which is to win a Super Bowl. No mystery as to why the Cowboys haven't flirted with one in 30 years. Okay? This is why the Cowboys suck. This is why. And that's not coming from me. That's coming from players, past and present, from the NFL. Okay? It's a bummer. I love football. I love Jerry Jones. I don't love the Cowboys. I love the Eagles. But I want to see the Cowboys do well because I like Texas. And this is just such an ugly black eye. And I think it's also an indication of Jerry Jones and the way he negotiates, right? And those old school business tactics, which have made him a billionaire, which have turned $140 million into $12 billion. So, dude, hats off. The guy's a genius financially. But football-wise, I don't think so. Pete Sousa Show continues. We got James Francis coming back. We are presented by Slovacics. It's a Monday. Welcome to football season.
Nobody tells our stories better than our clients.
The difference is stark. I was rear-ended at a stop. I thought I was fine, and then once I got home, I realized it's a lot worse than I thought. I ended up having a ruptured disc. You say you're not hurting, and then an hour later, you're saying you're in all this pain. I just felt like most people would think that I was lying. That's when I decided to call Daniel Stark. I owe a lot to Daniel Stark. They really got me what I deserved.
The difference is stark.
We definitely love our relationship and love Extraco. It's been an amazing experience.
They made the PPP process easier. They were reaching out to me saying, what can I do to help you? That made a huge difference because my stress level, when we shut down to afterwards, was night and day.
Our experience with Extraco has been phenomenal since the very beginning. So we love Extraco.
I don't know, if Bubble wasn't here, I don't know what people would be doing, like making PowerPoints or something. Bubble allows you to make it real and for it to actually work. So I feel like Bubble bridges that gap and being able to give people the opportunity to make their ideas come to life really quickly too. I love that I can sit down and build something the way that I think it should be built and have the control over it.
Bubble turns ideas into fully scalable apps. Try Bubble today.
Hi, I'm Jo from Face Theory. You're going to want to have a specific goal for your skincare routine. What do you want to achieve? Active ingredients are really strong, and if you're using too many at once, your skin can get overwhelmed. Don't overspend on products. Choose products that have scientific research behind them. At Face Theory, if you're not happy with a product, just say so, just give us a shout and we'll give you your money back, no problem.
I know you're gonna love this Kodak Dot Plus printer. You guys just connect it to your smartphone and then you're gonna use the Kodak Photo Print app. It's going to print you a 4x6 photo. I am just in awe. I love how these turned out. Also, the printer comes with a free cartridge of 10 photo sheets. I can assure you, you are going to love this printer as much as my family has. You guys have to check it out for yourself.
Streamline event and appointment booking with Amelia's sleek, modern, and fully customizable booking forms. Tailor the colors, fonts, and design to match your brand and seamlessly integrate with your WordPress website. Whether it's for events or appointments, Amelia makes booking simple, stylish, and perfectly aligned with your business. Enhance your booking experience today at WPAmelia.com. That's WPAMELIA.com. Amelia.
When you learn a language with Babbel, you start a journey that takes you further and further. Anytime and anywhere you wish. It's easy and fun. Broadens your horizons and keeps your brain fit. A journey into new thoughts, new cultures, new adventures. So what are you waiting for? Start your journey with Babbel now. Go to babbel.com or download the app.
BadCreditLoans.com is a pioneering service provider that has carved a reputation in the financial industry for its dedication to helping individuals with bad credit secure loans. By making timely repayments, borrowers can gradually repair their credit history, thereby increasing their chances of securing better loan terms in the future. BadCreditLoans.com serves as a beacon of hope for those with bad credit. Simple, fast, and reliable loan application process. And its commitment to responsible borrowing makes it a trusted partner in the journey towards financial stability.
All right, we are so happy right now to extend birthday wishes to one of the best linebackers in Baylor football history, one of the best linebackers in Bengal history. Let's welcome James Francis to the Pete Sousa Show. What's up, James?
How you doing?
Man, it's great to have you, dude. Thank you so much for making the time. I really appreciate it.
No problem.
Where are you this morning?
Well, I'm at home sitting in my man cave.
No better place to be. That's perfect place to sit here and talk sports with us. Again, man, so happy to have you join us, and a happy birthday to you. Any big birthday plans?
Well, I went down to my hometown. I celebrated on Saturday with my family and a few friends. So today, me and my wife just probably gonna go have dinner and just kick back and watch a couple of movies.
I love it. So I want to talk to you about your hometown, your start, and Baylor. You know, you're the type of guy who you bleed Baylor green. It goes from your big brother to your two sons, you know, to obviously the time you spent there just wrecking quarterbacks and running backs and blocking kicks. What does Baylor mean to you as a school? I guess just to that for me overall. What your experience?
Baylor, I've been on around Baylor campus since 1982, so it's been a long time. I was in the ninth grade. My brother was there, first went there, and it's just like it's like family. I mean, I've made so many great friends at Baylor. I've met so many great people at Baylor, so many great experiences at Baylor. It really helped define me as a person. It helped me grow as a person. It helped me get out of my little shy shell I used to have when I was in high school. Even though I was the best athlete, I was the shyest kid in school. And Baylor helped me grow out of that. And it helped me, you know, just become who I am. And both my sons went there. My brother went there. You know, I only live an hour from there, so I'm down there all the time. It's just a great school, and I had such a great time there.
Yeah, you know, you talk about your mom, and when she got, you know, I love that story. She goes down to the Salvation Army. It's freezing cold. She brings home two caps. One's a Cowboys hat. One's a Baylor hat. Your brother ends up going to Baylor. The rest is history. But Grant Taff had a lot to do with you coming to Baylor. What was his impact on you as a young man, and what made him so attractive?
Well, Grant Taff was the reason I chose Baylor. A lot of people thought it was because my brother was there. That just was a bonus. You know, Grant Taff came down and he spoke at my spring banquet in my high school, my senior year in high school. And after that banquet, I said, I want to go play for that guy. Because he was just a man that, you know, made you believe you can do anything if you put your mind to it. And he just was a great motivator, a great person. And it was a blessing for me to play under him, and Pete Fredberg and John Goodner and Coach James and Todd Davidson. Just so many great coaches at Baylor University that they really cared about you more as a person than they did as a football player. You know, they cared about you being a good friend, a good student, a good a good brother, a good father, and that helped shape a lot of these great young men that I'm still friends with to this very day.
Well, your playing career, obviously, first team All American, but something I don't think people talk about enough is your work on the basketball court as a freshman and sophomore. And you talk about how playing basketball really helped you in the offseason and really helped you with footwork. When did you notice that footwork, right, that your feet were starting to separate you and that basketball had something to do with that? That probably was a pretty cool aha moment.
Well, man, so I've been playing basketball all my life, so I realized that when I was in high school that basketball helped me with my movement, with my change of direction, with bending my knees, because I was a tall guy. I was a 6'5" linebacker. So I had to learn how it helped me play with my knees bent and not so high. Because football is a lot about leverage. Low man wins.
Yeah.
And so basketball, it just helps you with a lot of, just change of direction and foot movement and foot placement and muscle memory and it gives you that extra bounce that a lot of football players don't have because their muscles are so tight. So my legs had bounce in them 'cause I jumped all day. You know, so it helped a lot, and so I just kept playing. I mean, I just knew I was going to be a pro basketball player coming out of high school. That was that was my sport. You know, football was my sport too, but I loved basketball. I played basketball every single day, every summer, because and people thought I was a banger because I was a bigger guy, but I actually in high school I averaged 27 points a game. So I just knew I'm going to be the next somebody in basketball. But then you get to college, you meet guys who is just as big as you are, just as strong as you are. Then you realize, well, okay, maybe I might need to second guess this thing because my handles wasn't that great, and I wasn't tall enough to be a big man. My handle wasn't that good to be a guard. And well, maybe I better get in the weight room, lift some weights, and concentrate on football.
Hey,
That's what I did.
Scotty, are you having trouble hearing James? Hey, James, can you move closer to where your Wi-Fi is? Because it's kind of breaking up a little bit. I'm sorry to be a pain in the ass. Is there
Okay,
is there a
hold on.
way you could move, like,
Yeah,
so we can just?
I can move.
So
Hold
look
on.
at me getting James Francis to get up and walk around.
Let me walk.
Yeah,
I'll walk. I'll walk
just
out here.
just trying to get some better reception. Oh wow, that's nice.
What about now?
How about now? Yeah, definitely a little better.
Okay.
All right, so how about that game against Texas? You go to Austin, you beat the Longhorns for the first time in 38 years on the road for Baylor. What was it like to be a part of that whole situation and ultimately celebration?
Well, it was great. That was my last college football game. My college roommate was Robert Blackman. We was roommates for 4 years, and that was our last college game. And we had never beaten Texas in Texas, and we just wanted to go out with a bang. And I just remember, man, from the start, it just was one of those days where everywhere the ball bounced, either I was there or Blackman was there to
Yeah.
get that ball. It's just one of those days, and once the momentum started going, it just snowballed. We just had a great game. It was just a great time to have that stadium so quiet and go out on a good note to a bad season that we had as a team. We finished 5-6, but beating Texas in Texas made up for all that.
So how about you? You then matriculate, 12th pick in the draft. You go to play for the Bengals. You show up in Cincinnati. You walk into the locker room and are playing for a good team. You actually were playing in that game, as I remember, a couple scores away from an AFC title game. And I think that was the game where Bo Jackson hurt his hip, and ultimately his football career was over. But going into a season like that, and you are on a good team and you play in the divisional round, do you think as a young player, like, this is what it's going to be like every year I'm going to compete on the highest level?
Yeah, yeah. I thought that, we were one game away from the AFC Championship my rookie year, and we come back with the exact same team the next year, and I'm thinking, oh, we'll be back. Shit, excuse my language. It never happened. It never happened. We started off 0-8 the very next year, man. and that made me realize that, man, nothing's guaranteed in the NFL. Every year is a new year. Every year is a new starting point. And you just have to understand that when you get to that level, because it's hard to get back there. We had the exact same team, exact same quarterback, and we started off 0-8. For some reason, we just didn't click the second year. But I remember that game against the Rays where Bo Jackson got hurt. He had about 200 yards rushing on him. He might have just hurt his muscles from running so much.
Hey, James, I've been lucky enough that I get to call college football with ESPN, and one of the favorite guys I've ever worked with, my favorite dudes, is Takeo Spikes. And I talked to Takeo. I asked him about, hey, who was like a mentor to you in the NFL? And he talked about you, right? His rookie year, you were there. Just like you, he led the Bengals in tackles as a rookie. What do you remember about Takeo Spikes walking into the Bengals facility in 1998?
Oh, he was a stud, man. He was a young stud, man. He was built to play the position. He was built to play football. His mindset, his body, his whole demeanor was built for football. And he came in from the start, kind of like I did my rookie year. He came in from the start with high expectations, lived up to those expectations. I was fortunate enough to play with him for a couple of years, and he had a great career with the Bengals and a couple other teams I know he played with. But I just remember a guy who was just made to play football. When I saw him, I'm like, man, this guy's neck is huge. You know, he just was made to play football. And just a good young man who was willing to listen and learn from somebody who had been there and seen it and done it. He didn't come in with an ego. He didn't come in, I'm this guy, I'm the number one pick. I deserve this, I deserve that. And he came in there, he earned it. He earned that right. He earned that right to start. And we had a good couple of years playing together.
Well, I want to let you know, you mean so much to him that he's here now. He's on the phone, man. He just wants to wish you a happy birthday himself. Yo, Spikes, what's up, man? Takeo, you there? We got him on the phone, I swear. Spikes, you there? You up?
I'm up. Can you hear me?
Yeah, there he is, Takeo. So here we go. We got James
Big Cat,
right
happy
here.
birthday. Happy birthday,
man.
Big Cat.
Appreciate you, man. How you doing, brother?
Man, I'm good, man. I couldn't turn down this opportunity to come on here. When they told me, they was like, man, Big Cat's birthday, he's going to be on the show. I was like, I got to come on and bless it, man, and just let's exchange some war stories.
Oh, man, I appreciate that. We had some good days, my brother.
We did. Absolutely, we did. Pete, we had some good days, and it's crazy how it comes back around full circle, because my rookie year, when I came in, I looked up to you immediately because you was the longest tenured linebacker there, but we both came in kind of like in the same ways, first round pick, and people expected for us to come in and be able to produce. So for me, when I walked through the doors, it was like, what can I learn from you since you've been here your season and you understood what it takes to be a pro? And I immediately gravitated to you. And the two big things that I took away from our year playing with each other was draw a line in the sand and let people know what you mean is what you say and what you say is what you mean. And you was quick to do that, whether or not if it was with coaches, whether or not if it was players. And then the other part that I learned from you quite well is when you have time off, you take advantage of your time off. And if that means if you want to kick back at the pool and call some of your boys over, you do that. So we gonna have fun just as hard, we're gonna have fun at the same level as we put in the preparation when it comes to preparing for the game. So two biggest things that I learned, top chef level.
Hey, Takeo, what was the number one thing that you did learn, playing with James on the field? Like I mentioned, you come into Cincinnati, you lead the team in tackles as a rookie, just like he did. What on the field did he teach you that you were able to apply and make an instant impact?
Technique. and understanding, yeah, I can run fast. I can, run through another 300-pound man. But if you don't have to, then why? So that means you have to be smart about what you do. And the only way that you can be smart is just understand tendencies that you go up against players. But first you have to know what you have to do. And then how can I make this applicable to the player who I'm going up against and use the process of elimination. That was the biggest thing, because when I saw Big Cat, when I saw James out there, it was more so like, all right, he doesn't even look like you applying a lot of effort. And as a rookie, you don't know what you don't know, so you're trying to do everything. And so that was the biggest thing that I took away from his game was when you're smart, you can use the process of elimination so you're not having to defend the whole offensive playbook versus let me just defend what they actually do out of this look that they give me.
Hey, this is so cool to have you two together. One thing I'd be remiss before I let you guys both go. Week 1, we got Baylor Auburn. And if there's two dudes who bleed the colors of their schools, it is you two. Every time I look up, I see Spikes with Hugh Freeze up there at Auburn, watching games and watching the Tigers basketball team play well and supporting the football team. Obviously, James, your whole damn family went to Baylor and kicked ass there. So who you got winning, James? Is Baylor going to beat Auburn?
I got the Baylor Bears winning. I'll be there. I'll be there that Friday night. So I'm going.
Are you going to be there?
Yeah, I'm going to do a little tailgating Friday afternoon, and I'll be in the stadium. Friday night. I think my Baylor Bears. If we can keep our quarterback up straight, I think we can beat them.
Spikes, tell me about Auburn. How are they going to beat Baylor on that Friday night, week 1?
Well, we're going to beat Baylor Friday, week 1, and I'll be watching it. So we might need to have a phone line open. We're going to beat them we got a new quarterback, Jackson Arnold, as everybody knows. And last I checked in, he's doing quite well. He's gelling well with the receivers that we have. I'm really looking forward to seeing Cam Coleman and also Eric Singleton, our other wideout transfer, came over from Georgia Tech. This dude is a stud, man. And everything that I've been hearing about him, he's legit, can high point the ball, great hands. And so, but for me, I think offensively, we got to take that next step. And that next step is having a quarterback who can be able to do that. So with Jackson Arnold regaining his confidence from when he played last year, and I think the big thing was really going to propel him going into this season. I hope he realizes how special of a game he played against the Alabama Crimson Tide last year when they beat him 24-3 late in November. And then his walk-off was 11 days later, this man entered the portal and decided to become an Auburn Tiger. So, Mr. Francis, I think it's going to be a sad day over there in Baylor when we play against y'all. And I'm sorry, I apologize in advance, sir.
Oh, man. We'll see, my man. We'll see.
Hey, guys, I can't thank you enough. It's so cool to see two dudes who I looked up to when I was a little younger be just as great of men as they were football players. And it's an inspiration and kind of a lesson learned for all of us coming up. So, Takeo, man, you know what I think of you. You're the best. And Mr. Francis, James, it was great meeting you, man. You guys,
I appreciate you, man. Hey, Spike, you take care of yourself, man. You holler at me one day.
All right, for sure. Be connected, please.
You got it.
All right.
All right. We'll connect you guys. I'll talk soon.
All right. Bye-bye.
Wow. What a treat that was, huh? What a treat. Takeo, Spikes, and James Francis in one place. Scotty Swingler, hell of a job. Hell of a job. Also got to thank our boy Chris Visser. We're making it happen here on the Pete Sousa Show. I don't know the last time I've seen anything like that pulled off on a show like this. And thanks to those two dudes. God damn, that was awesome. All right, we're going to come back, reflect a little bit on that conversation, and talk a little more about Big 12 football. The Pete Sousa Show continues, presented by Slovakics.
Did you know nearly all stock price changes of 10% or more result from a single news headline? These news catalysts create trading opportunities every day. All you need is a little help to reach out and take them. It doesn't matter if your investment budget is small or big. All you need is Benzinga Pro and its powerful news alerts, price tracking, and portfolio monitoring. Subscribe now, and we'll skyrocket your portfolio today.
OsleyMD.com. I've always had thin hair my whole life. It breaks off at a certain length. In the last 6 months, I've noticed it just really bad. I mean, you could totally see it. I wear a hat a lot. I tried several different products. My experience with the Bosley MD hair regrowth kit was amazing. It was easy to use. It let me take off my hat. I could go in public and have my picture taken and feel normal again. OsleyMD.com.
Golf Partner, the world's largest golf store network, offers more purchasing opportunities than anywhere else. With a dominant market share and a wider selection of quality secondhand golf clubs than our competitors, we make it easy for you to enjoy the game with affordable, top-quality equipment. Join us at golfpartnerusa.com and discover why we're the trusted choice for golf lovers worldwide. That's GOLFPARTNERUSA.com. Golf Partner.
Since 2003, Bluehost has been empowering people to harness their brands online with innovative web hosting solutions. Trusted by over 2 million users, we're the longest-running WordPress.org recommended host. With Bluehost, you get a safer, better web experience, supported by the world's most popular site builder, and backed by our commitment to open source projects. Visit Bluehost.com today and take your website to the next level.
Experience the future of secure private cloud storage with Internix. Protect your files with end-to-end encryption, ensuring your data stays private and accessible only to you. Enjoy seamless, fast storage without compromising security. Visit Internix.com today and take control of your digital life. That's INTERNXT.com today.
Apollo Neuro is a new kind of wearable that helps your body recover from stress. It's like a wearable hug for your nervous system that helps you calm down and feel better. The Apollo wearable will send gentle vibrations to your body, like a song you can feel instead of hear. You feel better, you sleep better, and you can get back to being yourself. Learn more at apolloneuro.com.
Protect your online privacy with NordVPN. Browse securely, access content from anywhere, and keep your data safe with military-grade encryption. Whether at home or on the go, NordVPN ensures your digital freedom. Stay secure. Download NordVPN today at nordvpn.com. That's NORDVPN.com. Elevate your experience with Grenco Science, the leaders in cutting-edge vaporizers. Whether you're at home or on the go, our sleek, powerful devices deliver smooth, consistent hits every time. Quality you can trust, innovation you can feel. Grenco Science, take your vapor game to the next level. Visit us at GrencoScience.com.
It all began with a simple idea, cutting handles off old ski sticks to create better pull-up bars. This sparked the creation of the revolutionary Engels 90 handles. After testing over 70 prototypes with 300 athletes, our patented handles were launched in 2018. We continue to push the boundaries of strength training. Join us in making your training more natural and effective. Visit Engels90.com to learn more and revolutionize your workout.
Takeo Spikes and James Francis, and you could tell, I think James enjoyed talking to us, but when he realized his rookie, Takeo Spikes was on the phone, he definitely perked up, and just a couple of great dudes and a nice little chance for us to connect them. James, I can't speak enough about how good of a player he was at Baylor. And he retired at 30 years old. And James's connection was choppy. Otherwise, we would have obviously kept that going longer. But I didn't want to keep Spikes without James. And so I just let them both, go about the rest of their day. But James retired when he was 30, and he said, you know, one of the reasons he stepped aside and retired was because of just the losing. And that just wore him down. And, you know, Spike's the same thing. He was the lighthouse for the Cincinnati Bengals through a lot of good teams and eventually got a chance to move on and play for Buffalo, San Francisco, and the Eagles. But those are two consummate pros who were amazing linebackers, both of them taken top 13. Francis going 12th and Spike's going 13th. Francis in 1990 and Takeo 1998. So awesome to talk to them. Man, it is football season, and it's so exciting and cool to get a sneak peek at, obviously, you know who they were going to pick, right, to win the Baylor-Auburn game. I just, having worked with Takeo, we worked at Kentucky, Eastern Kentucky college football game for ESPN a few years ago, and, dude, nobody is more. It's really cool to see these guys. Nobody loves Auburn more than he does. And honestly, that's kind of a lost art because now I can't imagine that school spirit will be carried by athletes now in the transfer portal. Transfer portal's awesome. All this stuff's great. But it's a different time. And so it's cool to hear fandom like that. I became a even bigger fan this weekend of Rich Rodriguez. And Scotty Swingler, let me get into this first, and then I'll welcome you so you can kind of give me another black eye. But Prisoner Pete is again in the building, okay? So this weekend, right, Rich Rodriguez, there twice. Oh, sorry. So twice. There you go, better? Okay. Twice this weekend, Rich Rod, or this past later in the weekend, just sort of went, we'll call it college football viral, okay, for college football fans. Like, let's talk about what he said about their running backs, okay? This is not something you hear from college football coaches, right? It's certainly not today. He talked about his running backs, how none of them were able to make it through workouts without tapping out. And he just flat out said that to the media. He said, you know, none of our running backs were able to make it through fitness workouts without tapping out. And somebody asked, hey, like, well, what do you mean? Like they couldn't make it through without stopping? And he was like, yeah. And we gave them breaks, but guys still couldn't finish. He said, I love giving the ball to my running backs, right? I've had a lot of good running backs in the past. I have a lot of good running backs now. He said, but, you know, I don't want to put a wide receiver or another quarterback at running back, but these guys got to get in shape. And then he had the quote, which I loved because we're in such a PC society now, especially when it comes to health and stuff, but you can still, as a coach, I think, sort of mix it up a little. And he said, you know, we have 30 trainers out there. Like, you know, like we used to just have 3. He said, I swear with the influx of training staff, guys are more apt to pull up lame and get hurt. So we got 30 trainers, like all of them are busy. You know, we used to have 3 trainers and they'd all be standing there unless there was a serious injury. And then he went on to say, and he inferred that today's players are a little softer. And he mentioned the fact that, you know, in society, it's important to, when you're coming up as a young person, to experience hardship, to face adversity. Like that makes us all better people. Truth be told, for me, I was born on third base and thought I hit a triple, right? But once I got to college, I couldn't play football because of my heart, but they kept me around the team. They kept me on scholarship, and that was really hard for me because all I wanted to do was play football. All my friends were playing, and I was injured, and it looked like I was fine. So guys were giving me a hard time, like, dude, what's wrong with you? You still got your scholarship, and you're standing there looking healthy as a horse, and we're getting our asses kicked out here in the summer heat and training camp, and that was hard for me, right? That was like adversity. That definitely made me a better person at a younger age. And the guys who were playing on the field were just getting their asses kicked day by day, coming back for more and building themselves up as young people, right? Like esteemable acts. Like you don't want to practice, but you go out and you practice. And then all of a sudden you practice well. You build self-esteem, right? Coach Rodriguez was saying that is not as present as it was years ago. And then, so I'm falling back in love with Rich Rod, right? And then I started to look and this is where we'll bring up Swingler here. He's all things Big 12 and football knowledge. I started to look at, and we forget this, guys. I know Ren Baker doesn't forget this, the athletic director for West Virginia, and our boy Coos, who has a podcast through the Rogue Media Network. He works with us. He's amazing. But people that aren't hardcore West Virginia fans forget how good those teams were before Rich Rod left to go coach Michigan. Obviously, that didn't work out. And even when he got to Arizona, he took Arizona to a Fiesta Bowl or a Sugar Bowl, and I think like a 10-3 season. When he was coaching at West Virginia, Scotty, come on up for this. When he was coaching at West Virginia, his last 3 seasons, they finished in the top 5, dude. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. Now, that got him the Michigan job, but do you think, Scotty, like looking at his body of work, and I know you were in love with those teams. Pat White was like,
yeah, I don't know, in love with them, maybe not, but like definitely an admirer from afar. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Pat White, Steve Slayton, those boys.
Amazing. Pat McAfee.
Crazy.
Pat McAfee was in the
Yeah,
mix.
Pat McAfee, hey.
And by the way, don't think that won't be like a little bit of a secret weapon for West Virginia.
Oh
this year.
my gosh, bro.
And for Rich Rod. And don't think, by the way,
as much money as he gives away to all sorts of like worthy causes, you don't think that if Rich Rod needs a couple extra bucks to sign the next big recruit,
and also
McAfee's gonna be all over that.
Well, McAfee keeps people on his radar, like people, or keeps Rich Rod on people's radar. Like, wait till the football season starts. He's going to be talking about West Virginia a ton. They got in that game when they got their asses kicked by Penn State last year, early in the season. Remember, he did his show from Morgantown on the Friday before that game, and it was like scary how many people were there. Do you think maybe, I'm just thinking about this now, do you think maybe that's why Ren Baker and the folks at West Virginia, like, and this is a real question, does the Pat McAfee presence and sway and like hook on society, young men, does that at all, you think, factor into their decision to hire Rich Rod, his college coach?
No.
Okay.
I mean, maybe minorly so, but to me, it would be like, Grant Taff leaves Baylor in the early 90s, and Baylor football just plummets. There was a couple of okay seasons after that, but then mid to late 90s, early 2000s, Baylor was just awful. And West Virginia has not fallen nearly as far as Baylor did in those years. But to me, the equivalent would be if Grant Taff in like 2001, 2002, when Kevin Steele was the head coach, was like, okay, I'll come back. Yeah. Baylor would have been like, yes, please, Coach Taff, please come back. I just think it's, when he's the greatest in your school's history, at least as far as recent history, at least as far as success goes, the door is open. And he was doing well at Jacksonville State.
Yeah, he was doing great at Jacksonville State. Do you think that Rich Rod and that old school mentality, he's calling out guys, does that play today with today's athlete?
I think we're finding that out with a lot of people right now.
Yeah.
I think that factors into the Bill Belichick stuff we talked about last week. I think that factors into who else? There's someone else that's been unable to get another job that's shocked me, and I'm going blank. I think we're going to figure that out.
Okay.
I think these guys are smart enough, and Rich Rod's smart enough to surround themselves with people who can almost compensate in the other direction if he is indeed still that kind of style of a head coach. To be honest with you, you say I'm all things Big 12. I feel like I know very little about who Rich Rod is now. I feel like I know who he was at West Virginia and then at Michigan. It will be interesting, Pete, because you're getting all excited. I love that you just owned the Prisoner Pete moniker.
Well, no,
now.
because here's the deal. I'm this weekend I was reading his quotes, and then I was like, let me really get into this, and I started to read about Rich Rod, and then my memory was totally shaken, like a snow globe in there, because there's a lot of space. People, they don't use much of their brain. I think I'm like less than the average person.
Yeah.
But I started to remember how awesome West Virginia was.
They were awesome, man.
And it started to, the hire made a little more sense to me. It didn't seem like, and maybe that's the intoxication with the start of football season too, right? I could be whistling a different tune here in a couple weeks, but I was not thrilled about the hire for West Virginia. I thought it was I was kind of like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
But I felt like it was a little bit of a reach, like a little desperation for something maybe that's not there anymore. But after doing a little bit of digging this weekend and reading, I'm like, you know what? I think I'm wrong. I think like we've got to wait and see this thing out, and I think he gives West Virginia their best chance.
Maybe so. And, it might just be that Rich Rod and West Virginia are like a hand-in-glove fit where, like, that's the building and the part of the country and the systems where he is most effective.
Yeah.
Clearly, that's where he's been most effective through his career thus far.
Yeah.
And maybe for them, that's the fit of a leader as well. I think it's going to take a few years, though. I have no illusion personally that they're going to win more than 4, 5, 6 games this season.
Okay.
Just like you know the phrase, like, it's not X's and O's and Jimmys and Joes. I just think in the Big 12 this season, there's some teams with some real Jimmys and Joes, Texas Tech, Baylor, even like Utah to an extent. Like, there's some teams where I'm like, man, they've got some dudes. I don't feel that way about West Virginia. And it might be that I just don't know. But I think you got to give him a couple years to kind of get back where he wants that program. And it will be interesting, Pete, because his Michigan and Arizona stints are not good.
No.
They were not good. And so it's either that he comes in and West Virginia kind of takes their place towards the top of the conference again, and maybe we're like, wow, look at this guy. Or like, man, 3 years from now, if they're still struggling.
I'll ask you one last question.
And as Bear the Truth pointed out, my last thought, because I want to shout him out. As he pointed out, Rich Rod, for as good as he was at West Virginia, struggled in big bowl games.
Yeah.
Really struggled when it came time to, like,
he did
put those, like, big teams against other big teams from other places. So
yeah.
I don't know how much West Virginia would tolerate that.
Well, last question. Somebody put yesterday, West Virginia fan, wait till he'll be in the college football playoff in 5 years. Is that
Woo!
5 years is too long nowadays? Wouldn't you?
It is too long. I mean, maybe not at West Virginia. Maybe he's earned enough.
Yeah.
Cachet there to stay 5 years, even if they struggle. I just have a hard time. We have no idea. By the way, we have no idea what the playoff or these conferences are going to look like in 5 years.
Yeah.
But with the current scenario, if we're moving to 16 teams, which we're supposed to be next season, which I think is crazy. Let's say there's a 16-team playoff in 5 years. Could West Virginia be top 3 in the Big 12? Yeah.
Yeah.
That feels possible.
Yeah.
I don't know. Likely. I think every Big 12 team right now is like got some reason for optimism.
Yeah.
But maybe.
We'll see, man. We'll certainly. I'm interested to see how it all kind of shakes out. I cannot wait till the season.
You
starts.
could talk me into a scenario where they win 6 games this season, but look exciting and have a really good transfer portal class this next year. You could talk me into that.
Yeah.
I could believe that Rich Rod and company could look exciting enough on the field that they pull in a strong portal class next year and compete.
Dude, that's where the McAfee factor rolls in. I mean,
True.
think about all the 5-star players that announce their commitments on the Pat McAfee show. Like, he's tapped into that younger gen of a high school football athlete.
Yeah.
Regardless of your background, like, it's kind of like the place to go to tell people where you're going to go. And I have to imagine that has a little bit of sway. That's my
I would especially imagine, and I don't know much about this part of the country. I'm way more familiar with Texas, but him also being a Pittsburgh guy.
Dude, they recruit.
I feel like locally, the local recruiting scene in the surrounding states has got to go through
and Philly.
the roof.
They recruit the hell out of that area, and they usually own it. They go head to head with Penn State on a lot of guys.
Yep.
So that's a great point. I think that he can only help that area, which is very outside. You talk about Texas and Florida, Western Pennsylvania is right up there.
Totally.
They just churn out studs.
Yeah,
Ohio,
it's California.
California. Yeah. Those are hotbeds. All right. Last thing before we get out of here, there is scuttlebutt now about if Micah Parsons were to get traded. This is courtesy of CBS. Where would he go? Right? Where is a good fit for Micah Parsons? Right now, CBS Sports is reporting that the New England Patriots are a great fit. The Los Angeles Chargers are a great fit. I would believe, here's my theory on it. Screw this list. I'm going to tell you what I think, because I think this list stinks already as I'm reading through it. I think the only possibility that I see Micah Parsons leaving the Cowboys, first of all, he won't leave the Cowboys, in my opinion. And I think that's where stewards of Cowboy media like Ed Werder and Matt Mosley, if you had a chance to listen to the Doomsday podcast on the Rogue Media Network, you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't, you got to check it out. Mosley and Werder recorded an episode right after the Micah Parsons drama hit. Those two dudes are now in Oxnard. They'll be doing some Doomsday shows from there, and also we're going to have Mosley on from out there. By the way, at the end of, and you don't have to respond to this, but at the end of the Doomsday podcast, Ed Werder, the great Ed Werder, went out of his way to thank our boss, Corey Dickman. Had a lot of good stuff to say about Corey, which I was like, damn, dude. Like, the Rogue Media Network, Ed is on board. Ed's part of the team. Ed Werder, call him a teammate, right? Which is pretty cool because obviously Corey sent those guys out there. So they're going to be gathering some great intel on the Cowboys. But both of those dudes who have forgotten more about the Cowboys than I'll ever know say that this is, when you really step back and take a 30,000-foot view of this whole situation, he'll probably sign just in time for the first week of the season. I mean, those guys both, that's their reaction. Now, they also weighed in and said they've never seen anything like this. I mean, the last time, the only time Jerry Jones has ever traded an all-pro, in my recollection, I think it's Herschel Walker. And that really didn't have much to do with him. That was just Jimmy. And the last guy, and Mosley and Werder said this, the last guy that's asked for a trade and like freaked out like this because of the Cowboys' behavior, right, which triggered a reaction, was Greg Ellis. I think Greg Ellis, maybe it was 98, 99, had a real issue with Jerry and I guess didn't come to camp or wasn't going to play, and they figured they worked it out. But you can hear the details of that when you go listen to the Doomsday podcast on the Rogue Media Network. Again, Matt Mosley, Ed Werder doing amazing work. But a trade, I think that you've got to be a team that you're not going to be, you're good because you're going to throw in a first-round draft picks, right? And that being said, you're a good team then, right? You don't expect yourself to be picking high in the draft. So those first-round picks, although extremely valuable as a first-rounder, not as valuable as like a top 5, a top 10 pick. So now you're talking about the Ravens, the Vikings, maybe the Redskins even, right? The Redskins, remember, went to the NFC Championship last year. The Rams are a possibility. Like, if Micah Parsons were to get traded, I do not see him going to a team like the Jets or the Patriots. I see him going to a team that feels like they're going to win now, and what they will give up for Micah Parsons will not set them back light years as an organization. And I don't think a trade will happen. I think this will get figured out. But unfortunately for the Cowboys, I think it'll get figured out later than sooner. Another guy who has done a terrific job gathering intel and sharing it with the rest of the Cowboys universe and NFL world is Mike Leslie. Leslie is like always in there, sticking his nose in it, asks the best questions, right? He was on Jerry's ass about, possibly trading Micah Parsons. Like, will you trade him? Like Jerry didn't basically said no without saying no like 100 different ways, But what Jerry did, which I think is a huge mistake for the Cowboys that I think could make this situation worse, they're underestimating Micah Parsons as a man and just being a different guy. They don't believe that Micah Parsons has the stones to leave Dallas. And I do think that this is where, and I know people get pissed when I say this, the Cowboys aura and lore that has the Cowboys as the most profitable organization in sports, and quite possibly the most popular, I think guys want to play for the Cowboys. I do. And I think that there is a romance that Micah Parsons has, and the idea, he mentioned it in his tweet, right? Him and his father growing up in Harrisburg, not cheering for the Eagles, dude, cheering for the Cowboys. This is a destination for him. So I do believe that transparency he shared with us, although came along with a lot of bravado, I think that was a window into what he's really thinking. And he feels strongly about the organization and the fans. And why wouldn't you? The Cowboys, as bad as they suck, are a first-class organization from top to bottom, right? I mean, they are when we're talking about amenities, travel, stuff that, of course, on the NFL level is still amazing, but in Dallas, it's better than anywhere else pretty much. And I think that whether or not Micah Parsons wants to admit it, there is a sexiness about playing for the Dallas Cowboys. And I think players are attracted to that. And I think Micah is too. But what's interesting is I really hope for Cowboys fans and for people that care about Dallas and the organization, I really hope Jerry Jones can stay out of his own way because, you know, there's always a first, dude. Although there's not been a player to, you know, whether it's CD, whether it is Dak Prescott, or all the way back to Emmitt Smith, who actually did hold out 2 games, but the deal got done. And that was like fool's gold for Jerry because now he can lean on that and say, well, we did it with Emmitt, won a Super Bowl. It's like, dude, that was 100 years ago. Get your head out of your ass. Like that is not applicable to today's scenario. It's not. But I hope for the Cowboys' sake that Jerry can stay out of his own way and doesn't push Micah Parsons far enough where Micah Parsons – because Micah Parsons has shown us what he's made of as a Cowboy. He's a little different for sure, but after every game, and the Cowboys were losing game after game this year, and if you remember, it got really dark and really ugly. I was at the Eagles game, and that was like probably a bottom. You know, you had the backups in there. You had Cooper Rush and you had Trey Lance, and both of them were horrible. And they turned the ball over like 4 or 5 times. Remember, CD's trying to catch the ball in the sun. I mean, everything that could have gone wrong went wrong. The place was overrun with Eagles fans. And after that game, Micah's there, quotable, talking to the media. Now saying some kind of nutty stuff sometimes, but a good enough dude to know when he was wrong. I remember he backed up the one thing about Mike McCarthy when people thought he was calling for his job. He said, I was not. But what I'm saying is he's a stand-up guy and he's a different kind of guy. And you know what the kids say, standing on business. We'll find out if Micah is really going to stand on business or if this is just a negotiation tactic. All right, we'll be back tomorrow. Brad Sham is going to join us from Oxnard, California, Cowboys play-by-play legend. He's going to talk to us about, well, what else? Micah Parsons and the rest of the Cowboys preseason and how training camp's going out there. Thank you so much to James Francis and especially to Takeo Spikes making the time today, dropping in, wishing Baylor great and Bengals great. James Francis, a happy birthday. We'll be back tomorrow. Thank you very much, Slovacics, and goddamn, that's Scotty Swingler. He is good. Pete Sousa Show. See you tomorrow.
It's the Pete Sousa Show. Sports.
We definitely love our relationship and love Extraco. It's been an amazing experience.
They made the PPP process easier. They were reaching out to me saying, what can I do to help you? That made a huge difference because my stress level, when we shut down, to afterwards was night and day.
Our experience with Extraco has been phenomenal since the very beginning, so we love Extraco.
Nobody tells our stories better than our clients.
The difference is stark. I was rear-ended at 70 miles an hour. I was injured, had a concussion. The insurance company, they delayed. They were playing games from the initial conversation. They weren't going to help me. The biggest thing I learned through this is that you can't go through this alone. I called Daniel Stark. They were going to help me and everything was going to be all right. Daniel Stark got me 10 times the insurance company offered.
The difference is Stark.
We are Rogue Media Sports.